There's a moment that happens quietly, so quietly that most traders miss it. It's not loud. It doesn't announce itself with a big win or a sudden breakthrough. There's no celebration, no relief, no dopamine rush. It usually shows up when you're alone, late, staring at the screen. Nothing moving, nothing calling you in. And instead of feeling restless, instead of feeling the familiar urge to do something, you don't. That's where the separation begins. Not with intelligence, not with strategy, not with more screen time, but with a discipline so quiet it almost feels like nothing is happening. And that's why most traders never recognize it. You've been here long enough to know the basics. You understand price, you've studied patterns, you know what a good trade is supposed to look like. And yet, you keep losing. Not dramatically, not in a way that forces you to quit. Just enough to stay frustrated, just enough to stay confused, just enough to feel like you're close, but never there. This is the most dangerous phase of trading. Because beginners don't suffer like this. They're still hopeful, still ignorant, still expecting results just for showing up. But you know better, and that's what makes it hurt. At this stage, the losses feel personal. You don't just lose money, you lose confidence, you lose trust in yourself. You replay decisions in your head. Why did I enter there? Why couldn't I just wait? I knew better, so why did I do it anyway? And that question starts to echo. Why do I keep doing things I already know not to do? That's where most traders start looking outwards. They assume the problem must still be technical. Maybe the setup isn't refined enough. Maybe the timing is off. Maybe there's a missing confirmation. Maybe someone else knows something you don't. So you search, you tweak, you adjust, you add, you remove. But the results don't change, because the problem was never on the chart. Here's the uncomfortable truth most traders never face. By the time you know enough to be profitable, the thing holding you back is no longer ignorance. It's internal conflict. You know what patience looks like, but you can't hold it. You know what discipline feels like, but you can't stay inside it. You know when not to trade, but you trade anyway. And every time you do, something small breaks inside you. Not all at once, slowly, silently. Here's where ego sneaks in. Not the loud kind, not arrogance, not overconfidence, but the subtle ego that whispers, I should be able to make this work. I've been studying long enough. I can't just sit here doing nothing. So you justify, you rationalize, you convince yourself this trade is good enough. And maybe sometimes it even works, which makes it worse. Because now your brain learns the wrong lesson. It learns that impatience is occasionally rewarded, and that's all it needs to keep sabotaging you. Over time, something darker begins to form. You stop trusting clean setups because you've ruined them before. You hesitate on good trades because you've been burned so many times. You rush into bad ones because waiting feels unbearable. You're stuck between knowing and doing, between awareness and execution, between who you think you are as a trader and how you actually behave when the market is open. That gap is where most accounts die. And here's the part nobody talks about. This phase doesn't just damage your trading, it damages your identity. You start comparing yourself to others. You watch traders online who look calm, controlled, consistent. You wonder what's wrong with you. Why can they wait so easily? Why do I always feel restless? Why does discipline feel exhausting for me, but natural for them? You don't say it out loud, but somewhere, deep inside, a thought forms. Maybe I'm just not built for this. That thought is poison, and it spreads quietly. But here's what's actually happening. Those traders you admire aren't stronger than you. They're not smarter. They're not more motivated. They've just made a psychological shift you haven't seen yet. A shift away from force and towards restraint. Away from effort and towards identity. At some point, every profitable trader realizes something painful. Discipline is not something you apply when it's hard. Discipline is who you become when you stop trying to prove anything. Before that realization, discipline feels like tension, like holding your breath, like resisting yourself. After it, discipline feels quiet, natural, almost boring. And boring is exactly what most traders can't tolerate. Look closely at your worst trading days. They don't usually start with bad analysis. They start with a feeling: boredom, restlessness, impatience, a subtle need for stimulation. The market isn't doing anything, so your mind starts doing everything. Scanning, searching, forcing meaning where there is none. And eventually, clicking. Not because the trade is good, but because you can't stand the silence anymore. That's the real enemy. Not fear, not greed, but the inability to sit with nothing happening. Profitable traders don't win because they act better. They win because they wait better. And waiting isn't passive, it's psychologically demanding. Because while nothing is happening on the chart, everything is happening inside you. This is where the quiet discipline shows up. It doesn't look impressive. It doesn't feel productive. No one praises it. It's the trader who watches price approach their level and doesn't react. The trader who sees volatility and doesn't chase. The trader who feels the urge to enter and lets the urge pass without obeying it. That moment passes unnoticed, but it compounds. Over time, something shifts. You stop needing the market to entertain you. You stop needing to be involved every minute. You stop measuring your worth by activity. You let go of urgency. And urgency is the root of most trading mistakes. Urgency makes you overtrade. Urgency makes you revenge trade. Urgency makes you abandon rules in the heat of the moment. Profitable traders don't eliminate urgency through willpower. They eliminate it by no longer identifying with the need to act. They don't ask, how can I be more disciplined today? They ask, who am I when nothing is happening? And they stay there. This is the real turning point. Not because you found the answer, but because you stopped fighting yourself. You stopped trying to outsmart the market. You stopped trying to extract something every session. You stopped measuring your worth by activity. You let go of urgency. And urgency is the root of most trading mistakes. Urgency makes you overtrade. Urgency makes you revenge trade. Urgency makes you abandon rules in the heat of the moment. Profitable traders don't eliminate urgency through willpower. They eliminate it by no longer identifying with the need to act. They don't ask, how can I be more disciplined today? They ask, who am I when nothing is happening? And they stay there. This is the real turning point. Not because you found the answer, but because you stopped fighting yourself. You stopped trying to outsmart the market. You stopped trying to extract something every session. You stopped measuring your worth by activity. You let go of urgency. And urgency is the root of most trading mistakes. Urgency makes you overtrade. Urgency makes you revenge trade. Urgency makes you abandon rules in the heat of the moment. Profitable traders don't eliminate urgency through willpower. They eliminate it by no longer identifying with the need to act. They don't ask, how can I be more disciplined today? They ask, who am I when nothing is happening? And they stay there. This is the real turning point. Not because you found the answer, but because you stopped fighting yourself. You stopped trying to outsmart the market. You stopped trying to extract something every session. You stopped measuring your worth by activity. You let go of urgency. And urgency is the root of most trading mistakes. Urgency makes you overtrade. Urgency makes you revenge trade. Urgency makes you abandon rules in the heat of the moment. Profitable traders don't eliminate urgency through willpower. They eliminate it by no longer identifying with the need to act. They don't ask, how can I be more disciplined today? They ask, who am I when nothing is happening? And they stay there. This is the real turning point. Not because you found the answer, but because you stopped fighting yourself. You stopped trying to outsmart the market. You stopped trying to extract something every session. You stopped measuring your worth by activity. You let go of urgency. And urgency is the root of most trading mistakes. Urgency makes you overtrade. Urgency makes you revenge trade. Urgency makes you abandon rules in the heat of the moment. Profitable traders don't eliminate urgency through willpower.
They eliminate it by no longer identifying with the need to act. They don't ask, how can I be more disciplined today? They ask, who am I when nothing is happening? And they stay there.
This is what the psychological upgrade actually looks like. You stop chasing consistency and start protecting clarity. You stop trying to win every day and start preserving emotional capital. You stop proving and start observing. Discipline stops being effort. It becomes identity. And here's the part that feels unsettling. When you adopt this quiet discipline, your trading life becomes less exciting. Fewer trades, longer waiting, less drama. No more emotional highs, no more emotional crashes. Just calm execution or no execution at all. Many traders unconsciously resist this phase because it feels like losing something. But what you're losing is the addiction to stimulation, the addiction to being right, the addiction to feeling involved. And until that addiction is gone, no strategy will save you. So if you're in that phase right now, or you know enough but still feel stuck, if you feel the internal conflict every session, if you feel disappointed in yourself more than the market, if you feel like the problem is no longer what you trade, but how you exist while trading, you're closer than you think. This discomfort is not failure. It's friction before maturity. The traders who never make it, they escape this discomfort. They numb it with activity. They drown it in overtrading. The traders who survive, they sit inside it. They observe it. They let it change them. And one day, without announcing itself, you'll notice something strange. You didn't trade today, and you're okay with that. You watched opportunities pass, and you didn't feel regret. You protected your capital, and more importantly, you protected your mind. That's the discipline that separates profitable traders from the rest. Not loud, not impressive, just quiet and relentless.